Hello and welcome back to Downtime Activities and to episode 4, I believe, of what has always been named, and not just now, in the past, recently, been named, the Devils of the West, episode 4. And we will pick up where we left... Disadvantage. Also disadvantage. We will pick up where we left off last time. And we have a couple of folks, I believe, out on the trail trekking, and a couple of people who are moving through town asking questions. And I think us kind of came to a realization, or at least a possible realization, that maybe that coyote what was sniffing around at the start of this trek had more malintent than just a hungry coyote. But for the time being, let's cut to the folks out on the trail. What are you up to?
I'd kind of like to head back to the river where we saw the kid.
Okay.
Just kind of sit down and wait and see if anybody shows up, to be honest.
Okay.
So we're just waiting.
How long are you willing to wait?
I'm gonna skip rocks.
I'd like to be back to town not long after dark, if possible.
Okay.
So I'm willing to wait for a little while.
You wait for a while to the point where you think it's getting, close to like your cutoff to where you'd be showing back up to town as it's getting pretty dark, and nobody's shown up.
Alright.
You do see just across like a boat up on the shore in that kind of wider river section, but nobody seems to come up to it or anything.
Alright. Well, we can head back. Unless Grimes wants to stay out here by himself.
Deep Fingers, you had a good time skipping rocks. Are you going to continue skipping rocks?
I do love skipping rocks, but...
Kind of sounds like an insult. It's like telling someone off, like, hey, go skip rocks.
Let's go kick rocks.
But skip rocks.
Skip rocks. Like any good...
It's like I want you to F off, but I want you to have fun doing it. You know, it's like somewhere between kick rocks and...
No.
Get out of my hair, but go have fun.
Well, like any
I think I'll head
scumbag,
back to town.
She's just likes being a transient, or what's somebody that like skips school? Like
I think that's transient.
No, any good treat is
pretty sure it's
you go down to the river and you skip rocks instead of doing the thing you're supposed to be doing.
Which is hitchhike, of course.
Yeah.
Back to town as the two. I assume you're heading back. So yeah, Grimes and Ed head back towards town. Is there any other stops the other three of you are wanting to hit? Any other questions that you're needing to ask? Asked a lot of people a lot of questions last time, but is there anyone else you're wanting to question at all?
Not anybody that...
To make sure.
Short of doing the video game thing where I like kick in people's doors in their living rooms and ask them questions and like... which I guess is what
you just start breaking into everybody's house.
If anyone has the right to do it, it's allegedly you.
It's true.
Picking their pockets and searching for
Or you
journals.
do you do the video game thing where you sneak into people's houses and you just sneak your way to rummaging through all their shit, even though they're right there.
Exactly.
Until you find something suspicious.
Yeah, suspicious journal.
Yeah.
Nope, I think...
It should be on the bedside table with a little question.
You sure you don't want to go back to Dollhouse Clothing? See if there's any other hot goss to get involved in. She wants to spill some more tea for you.
I wouldn't mind just, if possible, spending the night at the sheriff's office.
That's fine. We have some open cots. I promise we won't lock you in.
Yeah, I gotta take a rest too, just because I also have to prepare if we're gonna try and trap a wild coyote.
Mm-hmm.
I do also have
Gonna sound great on the recording.
a very slight skill in thievery.
Okay.
Using that sort of knowledge and, I don't want to say expertise because it's a D4, can I look to see if any of the other locks on the sheriff's office, like drawers, were tampered with, or if it was just the one with the journal in it?
Looking at, there's only one drawer that has a lock on it.
Okay.
The rest of the drawers are just open, close, like there's no locking mechanism. There seems to be like one that's for secure documents.
Okay.
I would let you make a thievery check to see if you can kind of glean more specifics on it. On like what was done.
Even? Wait a minute.
Wouldn't be surprised if Grimes has better thievery than me. That's a 3.
Do you have lockpicks?
He's not trying to pick a lock, just trying to see kind of how the other lock was picked. With 3, you can tell about what you can tell. Looks like someone jammed something in there pretty brute force ways and somehow got this thing open. And going to sleep, I assume, then, for the night?
Calling tonight.
So I went back to my closet in my store.
Mm-hmm.
I need to stay in the sheriff's office. But
Yeah. So
my house is right over there. but
Two
I
of
think
you
that's
guys
where the
live here, at least for the moment, so you have spots to go to. 2 go to the sheriff's office, 1 goes to their hotel room for the night. You go to your closet in your back room, kind of attached to your shop.
and I, knowing what we're embarking on, open a chest, and I don't know what's in that chest.
You don't know what's in that chest?
I do.
What?
I'm leaving it up to the DM.
Oh, I mean, are you taking it with you? Are you
Yes.
taking it out? You're gonna wear it on your hip the next day,
Yes.
kind of a deal.
So it is there.
So you go up to a chest, you open it up, and inside there's probably a number of things.
Yes.
Relics of a past life is what I would describe it as. There's some old kind of trail clothing. There's some old wanted posters, some of which bear a bit of a maybe possible resemblance to a younger version of yourself. And most importantly, set on the top is what? Would you like me to describe it, or would you like to?
I can describe it.
Okay.
Well, hold on.
I have a description.
I have a description on my phone.
If we're real quiet, Will can cut around this part.
Yes. So I come.
You don't need to say anything statistically about it.
I won't say anything statistically about it because it's
Totally
that's not what you think about in
Mhm.
your life.
That's right.
And I'm role playing right now.
You're
This
here.
here's your +2 cold pacemaker. It does 2d6 +1 damage, except for the other +2 that it does.
It's like, Jesse, what the hell are you talking about?
It's a short guy.
This is gonna be us, in the summertime, and I'm this is my +2 pacemaker. I'm to do this monologue.
There's a cactus in there.
Just a super soaker.
I said it's +2.
Okay. Anyways, I see my old Colt Peacemaker. It's made of dark yellow mellow.
The dog.
And it's got a pearl grip, and it's got some really confusing little runes carved on the cylinder. That's it's my old gun, Betty Ann, from a past life. Figure if I'm going out on a journey, might as well bring it around, because the good Lord gave me Betty Ann.
The good Lord gave you Betty Ann.
Haven't touched it in 10 years.
And all that might just change here shortly.
That's my Bruce Springsteen folk cover band's name. The Lord gave me Betty Ann.
The Lord gave me Betty Ann. It does sound like a weird folk love song.
It's a long band name.
It really is.
And with that, a night's sleep goes by. More or less uneventfully, I assume, unless people are getting into any rambunctiousness in the night.
Unless any hags are gonna show up, or
Hags? There's not hags in this system. There's definitely hag stands in this system. Fair warning.
I'm gonna be outside the sheriff's office. I'm gonna be just chilling on the porch, just making sure no one comes in or out. But no one knows I'm doing this.
Okay. You wait till after dark and you're out front there.
I probably don't sleep well, but that's probably due to nightmares and not due to any attempt to keep watch.
Especially since coming here and kind of the easy to draw comparisons of what's going on here with some stuff from your past. I bet it probably definitely strikes a chord and makes you a little more apt to those as you see it unfolding around you. Speaking of, one other thing that happens in the night, for a man who's recently rearmed himself, your night's sleep, just the presence of this gun by you again and like kind of taking it out and like a lot of those memories fill in your mind probably. It's kind of like somewhere between a dream and a nightmare. It's kind of like a reminiscent like past life, but a lot of it goes sour and reminds you of why you turned your life around and why that gun was in a chest and not on your hip. No negative effects or anything like that, but just the memories kind of wash over you over that night's sleep.
I thought the bad guys were coming back for his can of beans.
Sir, you still got a can of beans, boy.
Sleeping with a can of beans in one hand.
The current state of Raskatoon.
I mean, it doesn't get much more Raskatoon than a guy sleeping, cradling a can of beans, holding a 6-shooter.
I should probably mark off one of my rations for the previous day. Kind of how the only other thing that I ate was, ate a cup of coffee. I ate a cup of coffee. He's real bad at making coffee.
He's real bad at making coffee. You want some coffee? Yeah, sure. Just pours beans into a cup and hands it to you.
Make beans.
I love a good cup of coffee in the morning.
Bitter. Next morning arrives. You wake up unadulterated, unmolested, unperturbed. Did you ever go home to sleep, or did you like fall asleep out on the porch?
I fell asleep outside. Like
Okay.
I'm a hooligan.
You're a hooligan. You've fallen asleep on your fair share of porches in your day. And you, being who you are, probably don't wake up first light, so I'm guessing the two people in the sheriff's office will see you asleep on the porch before you wake up.
Yes.
I think that's a fair assumption.
With a cigarette just like on my face, just like
Asleep with like some drool's gone down the side of your face, so the cigarette's like put itself out with like there's like a little scorch mark, not like anything painful, like a little scorch mark, and it's like stuck to your cheek on the side as you're asleep there, so you didn't burn the place down. Luckily,
yeah.
I'll when I'm making my morning coffee, I'll give Grimes a kick and hand him a cup.
a little crunchy, but it's good.
I like the idea that my whatever coffee filter I have is not very
Not
good.
very good. Your coffee's a little grimy. It's a little gritty.
I'm just gonna be like, what the fuck? Oh, thank you. And I'm gonna just take my flask and put it
You walk around with a flask of Bailey's.
I walk
Which would be
around.
disgusting if there's a flask all day out and about in Raskatoon.
Oh,
In the heat of the desert.
You're pulling over the coffee and like a string of cheese down into it.
Nice.
no, it's just liquor.
Fair enough. Little
whiskey?
splash of whiskey in the coffee helps keep you sharp in the morning.
The range is probably 12, 24, 48.
It is important to remember that yours is a single action. It's an older peacemaker. It's a single action 45. So it's
multiplier.
so you can't double tap with it.
Rate of fire is 1.
So that shouldn't stop you
Eight
from
is
having a
one.
good bit of fun.
And unless this has been especially modified, it will do 2d6 plus 1.
What was I gonna say? I mean, yeah, if you're playing with
Unless
our
the
group,
organic
it's
has
just
been
one
modified.
shot ones.
You're not gonna be able to do the thing that everyone's been doing.
I fire again. I fire a third time.
And then one more time I fire. All 4 hit.
And then I was sad. And then I had a popsicle.
I fired, I missed. I fired, I slipped. I had a popsicle.
Great.
Then I got sad. Then I passed out.
Jerry, have you seen their I'm on observation duty videos?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
It's classic.
That's
Other
okay.
games from other people.
Other games.
Greatly
Other
admired.
games.
Next one?
Next one.
Professor Bogus makes once he gets up, he makes his way to the barn,
Of course.
and he arms himself with the entangled weapon that has been shown to the party, but then he also puts pretty much hidden away a different weapon that we will see later on.
It's a secret
Nobody
tool
has
for
seen
later.
this yet.
Okay. I assume you as well as Jeffries are both going to head to the sheriff's office in the morning to kind of reconvene with the rest of the crew.
Yep. I have an assistant, right?
You do. You've got... He has a name. Let me find it. Why, in fact, the Raskatoon General Store has 2 employees listed there. Yourself, as well as Clayton Knight. He's a local boy, probably 16 years old or so. And Clayton, he's a good old boy, trying to earn some money, help his family out. Works at your shop.
I tell Clayton before I walk out, say, Clayton?
Good role-playing strategy.
Clayton, I'm running off after food. Guard this can of beans with your life.
Yes, sir! And he grabs a can of beans, looks around like... Doesn't really... He just holds it.
We're gonna come back to a grisly murder scene and a missing can of beans.
May the good Lord be with you, young son.
It's at this
And
point
with you,
I walk
Mr.
in
Jeffries.
And I steal the can of beans. I take it from him and walk away.
And I will take
No,
my
no,
can
no.
of beans out of my...
I will add it to Clayton Knight's inventory.
Hope that
Well,
makes it through the
I
day.
guess I'll saddle
Not brains.
Matchstick.
I'll bring Sam out the barn to join us.
Well, good, Spanky.
I don't think my horse has a name,
Not that you've shared with the table
which is fitting.
I got George.
Because you're riding in the desert on a horse with no name.
yet. Got the mule named Sam, Spanky the horse. We got George the horse. We got Matchstick the horse. And your horse, which is only listed as legit horse. Because it's the one that isn't an El Cheapo horse.
You should name it Monty.
Hey, Sam.
I'm pretty
Sam
sure
is
George
El
is in an
Cheapo
El
mule.
He is as well. But you had a name for him, so he's George Horse, not legit horse.
George.
Yeah.
George Horse.
Nice, George Horse.
Pleasure to meet you.
I reckon I can carry you anywhere you want to go.
The real George Horse here.
I'm one of them Skyrim horses, so I can even walk backwards up cliffs if
If you're persistent in that thing. Don't feel like taking the main road up to the throat of the world, that is. It'll take longer, but you'll feel like it'll take less time.
Hey, you feel a undeserving sense of accomplishment when you do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It reminds me of my very first time playing through Skyrim and my attempt to find my way up to the throat of the world and not being told, hey, go all the way around the mountain to the other side and then just follow the trail. Just being like, well, I can't walk any more in this direction, standing on top of a cliff with another bigger cliff above me.
So what's the plan for the day? As the heroes reconvene.
We're
Heroes
going
are-
coyote hunting.
We should probably try and not kill him.
Yes. Well, no. So, there's no food in Raskatoon, right? Like that's
There's
kinda-
food. From what you've heard, there's next to no food in Raskatoon. What food there is, people are kind of... the good-natured people shared and then ran out of. And the only place that seems to have ample food, from what you've heard from people around here, is Nettlewood Grange, which is like the nearby ranch. And it seems like, at least according to the bartender, the like greedy bastard owner is like not sharing or like upcharging crazy amounts because there's such a shortage.
Now we could head to Jasper and just stock up on as much food as we can and try and
Yeah, run the blockade.
run the blockade.
Yeah. Well, my thought was I need some bait because what's the coyote going to be attracted to? Somebody coming to town with food. It thinks, ha ha ha, I'm just a coyote, and then we fucking grab him. And then it's the classic, tell us what you know. Yip, 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 yip. And then it's like, oh, it's just a normal
And
coyote.
then I get to RP an animal in an RPG, and it'll be really useful information.
So we're going
If
to.
that's the case, we need to catch a rat because we've learned only rats ever have
Solid
useful
information.
They are skeevy, like, Southern Brits, but they will share information. They're not the weird animals from South Park in their voice, so it's slightly less irritating.
So how long does it take to get from like Raskatoon to the nearest town?
It took you like a half day's ride to get from Jasper to Raskatoon through Crooked Canyon.
Okay. So yeah, I think that we take Crooked Canyon because I don't want to like take food for bait from the town. Like it's already like it's kind of a
You
waste.
think honestly that you'd probably be wasting your time because there's a decent chance that food leaving the town has a lot less likelihood to draw attention than food coming in.
So I think we.
Why are they going to steal food that's leaving Raskatoon? The
Yeah.
food's already leaving Raskatoon.
So I think we go up. We get some like bacon and like some like just real like meat, stuff that'll attract
There are
somebody's attention.
There are stuff in the price list for buying a bunch of those supplies, like by the pound, right?
I'm sure there are. I think
My laptop is currently recording Jerry, so.
Yeah.
Do they
Anyway,
not?
we'll
Somebody
wait.
else
for
Costco
Well,
in Raskatoon.
it's a good thing we're.
What about Sam?
So
What else saying?
yeah. So because I think what's happening is they send in like a coyote as a scout or like some kind of animal as a scout. It goes, "Yep, you definitely have food," and then runs off and reports it, and then they attack
And they
whoever.
get jumped, yeah.
So I think that if we catch the scout, then we can go from there. But we don't want to make it too obvious. Like we want to have like just our saddlebags. We want to have like a wagon full of food because then they'd be able to see that.
That's a great
But it's
idea.
like-
You
One of
are
us should dress
you're
up like a
really
lady so
stretching
they're
this
like-
theory.
Oh, this lady has food.
Pass.
Of course not. Of course not. It would be like the Cat in the Hat where he's like, I'm a girl. Like, and then he like ruins the dress.
That it would be just like that.
Just like that.
Just
Just like that
just
movie
like
that we all
I
remember.
reckon those ladylike one
And
here.
totally.
That wasn't a shared fever dream between all of us.
It
I
was a
know.
fever dream. No, I think
I think I'm more ladylike than Ed over here.
Well, because that ain't no name for a young lady.
neither is Grimes. And at the very least, if we can successfully run the blockade,
Yeah, then all good.
well, yeah, we'll bring a bunch of supplies to Raskatoon. So.
So I think enough that it goes. It has to get close enough to be like, do these people have food, and not like those people definitely have food. Because, yeah,
Which is why I think loading up saddlebags would probably be enough.
yeah.
So that way, it like.
You
It
mean
has
to
to actually
tell
get
me
close to
I have to empty my saddlebags of nitro and lantern oil?
Yes.
Yes.
We're riding at opposite ends of the column.
You listen here, young lady.
My horse is named Matchstick. And you are carrying explosives.
I will ride wherever I damn well please.
But I really like the comedic idea
Like a
of,
true grandpa.
hey, where's Matchstick? Oh, over there by the kerosene and dynamite.
Horse is not
I
to
have no
survive.
dynamite, but I do have the materials to probably make dynamite should I decide to.
Well, you said you had nitroglycerin, right?
All you need is a stabilizing agent.
Yeah,
and there you go.
That's dynamite, baby.
Yeah, so let's head to Jasper, I guess.
We're headed to Jasper.
Oh, I can't wait to get some bacon.
That's
Yes,
true. If anybody
you
wants to
probably
get us,
have it.
if anybody wants to
Yeah.
get a square meal, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
While we're in Jasper.
I do like the idea of like the whole town just like packing up, going to Jasper, eating a whole bunch, and then coming back to town. Like fuck you.
That could be one way to get it done. So you guys are setting out pretty early in the morning then?
Yeah.
Getting together and starting to head towards Jasper. Start moving through the canyon, I assume. You go ahead and give me a survival check there, little lady.
Oh yeah, we don't have a guide this time.
We don't.
That guy was crazy. He couldn't have been that good of a guy.
There's not like branching paths of this canyon. There's more than one reason for I'm having him roll this.
I'm Spanky. Is you
5.
You are able to traverse a canyon that's got one path on either end of it. You don't go up the hill at all. But as you're moving through it, you do notice coyote tracks. There are coyote tracks that you think you could reasonably follow. A coyote, you get like to that halfway point again, about where they saw the coyote when they were riding in, and you spot those coyote tracks, though a coyote doesn't seem to approach or anything like that where you guys are riding today.
Do you want to try and just track it, or do you want to stick with Bateman?
Let's try the tracks first. Like if we can just cut it off at the pass, then that's a half day saved. You know.
Okay.
I guess you get the downside of you don't bring food in, but once
I
again,
mean-
if we're solving the root of the problem, then there's that's its own thing. So, or the other issue is it could just be a regular coyote. So we don't really
Better to know now than
Yeah.
to spend it the whole day.
exactly. And it's like if we get it, then great. If we're like can't find it, well, back to plan A. Yeah.
Fair.
All right. Survival to track it.
8 explodes.
Nice.
And you get +2 on this, right?
Yeah. 7 does not explode.
You
That's a
roll way
total
better.
of 17. I roll way better in this than I've been
Yeah.
rolling in
Anything.
anything I've played in so long.
Yeah.
You are hot on the trail of this coyote. It's not a hot trail in the sense that, like, these tracks are probably a day old at least, but you know exactly the path they're taking. You're able to
Do
follow.
the tracks like eventually turn into like bare human footprints?
Not right away or anything like that. The tracks, you follow them, and they it's
Look,
pretty-
if this coyote can turn into a bear,
We got all sorts of
got a
problems.
lot.
all sorts of new problems.
Big
You're
human
able to
kid
kind
on
of
this front.
travel along it, move along with these tracks, and then they start to kind of. It's going to be a ways. So if you guys are in the we're only following these for 30 minutes and we're turning back, so we don't waste our time kind of deal. This will be. You get to the 30-minute mark and it's still winding into the wild.
let's
a
keep
little bit.
going.
No, I want bacon.
Turn around. I want bacon. Beans, bacon, whiskey, love.
I'll buy you some
Always
bacon
drop
when we
it.
get to Jasper.
So you guys keep
for
following.
cheating.
When it eventually gets to a kind
Area?
of. To call it a forest, I mean, it's not really a fairly heavily treed area. After moving through the kind of upper cliffs of this area for a little ways, and these footprints definitely seem to kind of wind and move in a way that's attempting to if someone was even if a predator animal or someone was following after it, that there's not a very clear path to follow. But with your previous role, you're there's oldest tricks in the book. Anyone who's worth their salt out on the trail knows how to follow a freaking coyote, and it's fine. And you follow a ways, and at a certain point, the footprints stop dead, and you do see human footprints appear.
We got him, boys.
Well, clearly a hunter killed this coyote and picked it up.
Right. Moving on. Nobody say a goddamn thing. I don't need to be here for another half hour arguing with the old man.
What?
Oh, do I notice Mr. Jeffers' thing on his side? Do we
Yeah,
notice
at
it?
this point, he's kind of been at the back of the group, and as you guys kind of stop down and take a look, and they're
Everyone's
pointing
thinking
this
it.
out.
Grimes is just saying it.
Yeah.
Jeffers has a
I'm
gun
the-
on his hip.
I'm
for
the
and
annoying kid.
actually, I want everybody here to go ahead and. Is there a common knowledge maybe? What other skill would be?
There is a common knowledge.
Oh, we'll call it common knowledge. Go ahead and roll a common knowledge for me.
I've known Mr. Jeffers since I was 16. Don't like to admit it.
Guess who doesn't have any ranks in common knowledge?
Same here.
I actually do.
Oh, I do know common knowledge.
That's a niner.
Niner.
Oh, 6 explodes.
Yep.
6 explodes.
Good.
That is a 13.
15.
13,
5.
5,
15.
15.
9.
I've got no ranks. I've got a 5.
5 is the lowest roll here. With a 5, you look at this gun on his hip, and you're like, there's something about this gun. This gun is familiar to me. The description of this gun is familiar to me. The other 3 of you all are maybe Deep Fingers knows there's a possible kind of twisted past of Jeffers, this holy man. He's not that holy, he's just like me raising hell when he was younger, yada yada kind of stuff.
Yeah, damn
This
Jeffers.
gun has a bit of you guys have heard of it. This description is matches the description of a fairly well-known outlaw from the past who was known for being a member of a bloodthirsty outlaw gang that ran with some people who were pretty well known for heinous and vicious acts.
Your face.
This isn't the gun of a reformed holy man, that's for sure.
Well.
And who had the 15?
Me!
You had the 15
It was
and-
me!
With a 15, I'd say you've heard a story before that it was a weapon that was cursed by a Satanist witch somewhere, and that it was literally not just this is these are unholy people, not just outlaws, but people who are actively defying the natural order of things.
Mr. Jeffers. Look at you over here. Good for you. Getting back in your old ways. Proud
I
of
just
you.
I know what you're talking about.
I just look at Jeffords and kind of just mumble under my breath and shake my head. And go, man of God, my ass.
I still believe in you, Jeffers.
Well, see, you don't know, but see, you don't know what I was. You just only know possibly what I was.
Yes. I'm proud of you either way. Could use another hooligan in
it's
these
at
woods.
that moment in time.
Reckon a
that-
feller needs a gun when he's going
It's
out
at
in the
that moment in
wilderness.
time that Deep Fingers gives Jeffords his blessing to date his mama.
Wait, you're a criminal? Date my mom?
No. No one can
No.
date my mom.
No.
No. Sklur needs to stay away from my mamas.
Sklur only gets to attempt to date one of your moms per year of playing RPG.
He's met his quota.
He's missed quota for the year. If you don't know what we're talking about, Metroville gameplay.
Probably every other game.
That wasn't the one we
now.
recorded.
It isn't the one we recorded.
This will probably be a thing throughout, like, most of our campaigns.
I'm sure it will be. Running gag. So you guys continue to. Unless, is there any other conversations had
When you
around
make
this?
a character in a tabletop RPG, make
What am
them
I,
an
a
orphan.
cop?
That way, the DM can't kill off your parents and Sklur can't try and date your mom.
I'm an orphan. Stop trying to sleep with or murder those who I love.
It's a short enough list already. Alright. I think we're tracking down this bear human.
Yep, at this point, I think I would like to start riding with my Sharps buffalo rifle actually in hand.
Alright.
I'll do similar.
Okay.
Guns up.
I'll pull out my entangled gadget.
Okay.
Good.
We can-
We're gonna need that.
It's
You
true.
guys-
That'll be much more useful than my rifle.
Yeah.
You guys continue.
There he is,
moving
take him
along.
alive. Bam, bam.
You get to a point where you run into what seems like a more like a little wider kind of river section. You think it's probably the same river, just how it kind of winds around the town and eventually comes back towards this direction. At this point, you've been traveling for a couple hours at least, and the footprints move up to this side of the water. Seems like the river's a little narrower here. Go ahead and give me one more tracking survival check. And it seems like this is something that horses could ford across, probably. You wouldn't necessarily need a boat.
9.
9. It looks like it's pretty washed away just because of the river, kind of the slight fluctuations that would happen. But it looks like the footprints slightly change at the edge of the water here. And they seem like set pretty deep, almost like something like sprung pretty hard off the ground here to get across this river.
Seems like maybe it was our fellow who robbed the store.
Possible. Or something like him.
Any comments, Professor?
No, shh.
I get up Sam, and I would like to kind of examine these.
Give me a survival check.
I'm just stirring the
Survival
fucking pot
check.
over
A
here.
survival check.
So sure.
All right.
If you roll bad, it's just better for the situation. So
It's a 1 -2.
looks like long human. Like it looks like the dude probably slipped on the riverbank. To you.
Yeah, and that's what I relayed to them. It looks like he slipped. I don't know what happened.
Truly
Damn thing
a
must have
tracking
got away.
genius. Of course, Professor. Moving on.
I
Birds
didn't
and cats,
hear
I
you.
swear.
I didn't hear what you just said.
I'm just gonna
Yeah, right.
I'd, you at the very least, Sheriff. Let's be careful here. These things are pretty tough, if you know what I'm
Fair enough.
tapping my
Yeah.
covered eye.
Covered eye. Ooh.
What happened to you? So what happened to you, Miss? Did you have a bit of an accident in a gunfight?
Oh, you could say that.
It
wasn't.
wrong, but
It
you
was.
can say that.
It was a fight. There was at least one gun.
No, they're still still.
That's as much as I want to talk about that.
Yeah, shocker. Hey, mister, how'd you lose your legs? Well, I was born without legs. Lame.
I'll ford the river, I guess.
Going after you.
Okay. Everyone's gonna ford across here.
I'm gonna give Spanky a little
Yep.
pep talk. Be like, you can do it, bud. I know you're scared, swimming.
Folks.
Is it good?
Your horse gets up to the edge of the water and just looks at I do not trust this water and will not continue to move forward.
Oh, Spanky.
And Spanky's kind of shaking a little bit at the edge of the water. Spanky does not seem to want to go
Can I
across.
make a riding check to try to
You
help?
can't, but
Oh.
you can to try and convince Spanky to go. Unless you're swapping horses. Your horse, on the other hand,
Very well.
proudly stomps across. This horse is a ranger's horse. This horse used to trump
So
around.
both of us are across. Me and the sheriff.
Everybody else's animal
Oh,
goes across.
okay.
Even,
Okay, I was gonna
the
say-
mule seems to take this just fine.
Because I was gonna say, whoever was behind,
I mean,
whoever was
let's be
behind
honest,
Spanky
the
could just
mule.
fire a shot. Then again, that kind of gives away we're coming. But that would probably get Spanky across.
Let's be completely transparent here. The mule crossing this river is not the dangerous situation that's going to be in the entire day.
Nice.
So,
No, and let's be honest. If that thing explodes in the middle of the river, that's best case scenario for the rest of us.
Limiting the blast. That's just basically a fat kid cannonball at that point, more than a devastating explosion.
Let's see. I don't have anything in writing, so is that a minus
It'll be a
2?
D6 and a D4 minus 2
Okay.
to try and convince this horse to get across this water.
Pointy boy.
Pointy boy. Okay. Come on.
Minus 2.
2.
2. So you try to you're like, come on, Spanky, let's go, yeah, let's go. And the horse is just standing there, just kind of shivering a little bit. And it kind of turns away from the water and starts walking along the edge, and turns the other way and walking along the edge, but does not seem to want to go
Okay,
across
I'm
here.
gonna fire my gun.
You fire your gun in the air? All right, go ahead and roll me another riding, and I will let you not use the -2 on this one for what you've just done.
Grimes.
That's a
fucks
3.
A 3? Go ahead and roll me an athletics.
Okay. Let me see. Ooh, I am good at that. Okay.
How many points do you have? 1. Okay. Sure you go.
So it'll be the same dice roll again, but no negative.
Okay, sweet.
Nope.
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 So you go, come on, Spanky! And Spanky rears up, turns around, rears up, throwing you into the river, and then runs back towards the canyon as you fall back, not able to catch the reins, splash into the water.
I do like the whole like come on, Spanky, and Spanky doesn't do anything, and you pull the gun and across the river, and the ranger goes, no!
And just bucks you into the water and starts booking it back towards the canyon.
I'm gonna let you guys go ahead. I'm gonna try to catch Spanky.
You know what? That's fine.
I'm gonna go catch
So
Spanky.
you go back, so you kind of get yourself up, you're wet, you're muddy, you're uncomfortable. Luckily it's warm out, it'll dry and just turn to dust and sand and dirt instead of mud on you soon enough. The rest of you are just continuing on the trail, or what's
Well, luckily for Grimes, I think most of the danger's in this direction.
That is true. But unluckily for us, we're down a gun.
2, technically.
2, technically. Yeah.
Shall we ride back and pick up Grimes?
I'll go back.
Okay.
Pick up Grimes. Say, we'll look for Spanky later.
I mean, you've got a
Spanky,
horse, you might as well go get Spanky now.
That's true.
You feel like you could probably tie Spanky off to a tree or something if he's not wanting to cross the water.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can ride double with me, and we'll go get Spanky, and then if he doesn't want to cross the river, we'll tie him to a tree.
I'm gonna make kissy noises at you the whole time.
You're riding in the back of your ear. Stop! Stop!
Truly a villain.
I'm just a nuisance.
It's just shit talk the whole time. I look at Mr. Texas Ranger over here. You got cool horses.
I'll sit down cross-legged, looking the way we're headed, and wait. I guess.
Should we catch Spanky?
Because
You can catch Spanky. Spanky doesn't run away from you when you get there. You got shooken and just went back. He doesn't make it back to the canyon because you guys are ways off the canyon. He just goes a little ways back into the woods and then kind of slows down, calms down, and it's just all right, The water can't hurt me anymore.
It's like, it's not weird. No.
And if you want, you can definitely walk Spanky back over. Are you going to try and go across with him, or are you going to just tie him off and
No, I'm just gonna
ride
tie
on the
him
back
off.
of the
I'm not
ranger's
doing
horse?
He's gonna have a
Tickling his
water
earlobe.
phobia after this.
that. No.
He's got a life phobia that's scared of jaguars.
Do you want?
No, I'm just gonna harass the sheriff.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
So, yeah.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, guys.
good work, everyone. You're across the river, one horse down. Good old Spanky.
But we still have all of our guns.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
this
that's all
is
that matters.
why fly speeds are overpowered for low-level
Sure.
characters.
That's right. Because rivers should be obstacles at low level. And you guys continue back on the trail. On the other side, there's a similarly this footprint seems a little different, but it quickly turns back to normal human barefoot footprints afterwards that you're following. Probably just slipped on the other side of it. I'm super surreal, guys.
No drinking, no smoking, no sneaking out, or I'll kill you with my bare hands. You're not gonna kill me with your. Whoa! He's got bare hands.
Classic.
Is that
That was a whiteout.
That's a Whiteout Rules video.
Yeah. Is that the same one where I got drop kicked into a pool?
Might have
Yeah,
been.
that probably.
I think
Same
it was.
one?
It was Randy and Malachi, so
Probably. It was definitely one.
Now that is a reference.
No one.
No one. If you
Except for
do,
the
leave
three
a
of us.
comment down below about
If somebody's,
Short,
if
short.
somebody's
We'll explain it
Short,
to a
short
Patreon.
We'll explain it to the Patreon.
if somebody is watching this and goes, "Holy shit, whiteout!" That would be the funniest thing.
be like brown squirrel. I know, Randy. Anyway, moving on from there, you continue on the trail, tracking along. I'll have you roll me another survival on this side.
That I can do. That though is just barely a 4.
Barely a 4. The trail seems to be a little harder to follow on this side. Maybe just kind of the composition of the ground beneath you holds footprints a little less clearly, or more like disturbed ground and stuff like that, which it seems like this person doesn't do too much of. So you seem like it's functionally you're still able to follow the trail, but its progress is slowed quite a bit. It's no longer like you're in your zone doing it. It's just like you're doing it just barely enough. And you continue moving along, and it gets to the point where you are getting pretty close to nightfall here, and you're still on the trail.
Gosh, this guy went a freaking ways.
Well, because I assume we're heading back to the same place the other tracks were headed to.
Seems like it might be kind of looping similarly in the direction that you saw those other people.
We might have to go back and worry about Spanky. He don't like the dark.
God damn it,
What is
Spanky.
wrong with your horse? You need to conduct some experiments to see if we could figure this out.
He's sensitive. Okay, Professor.
I mean,
He's sensitive.
we could go back and spend the night by the river if we wanted, or we can keep going. I think at this point we've come far enough that we should probably just spend the night out here.
Certainly sleep on the trail.
You're my survival experts, and a night on the trail is not going to kill anybody. Hopefully.
Well,
Maybe.
the night might not. Depends on what's in it.
Let's try.
Just some bears and coyotes. Yeah, nothing to worry about.
Get a man bear pig. Yeah, well, I think that's a solid advice. We can spend the night out here and keep following the trail in the morning.
Okay. So you guys going back to the river and camping out, or you're staying put in the kind of the forest area camping out?
How far from the river are we?
You've made hours progress from it at this point, so you'd be kind of setting yourself back for the next day's journey to do.
Yeah, so
something.
let's just find a good spot somewhere around here then.
Okay.
Preferably someplace where we can, get a big rock to our backs or something.
It's cliffy enough out here, you could probably find some along those lines. And you guys kind of set up your little camping area, set up a fire, I assume. Stay warm during the night.
I've got matches and I'll lay out my bedroll.
Okay.
Keep the mule away from the fire.
I have a lantern,
What?
so I'm gonna light it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a little lit lantern. Just got a nice little camp set up. Decent enough for the night, at the very least. Everyone roll me perception.
Perception. What do I have in perception?
Notice.
Notice. Thank you.
Notice. Excuse me. Notice. Notice.
Can you double check? For
I got
me?
nothing
Actually,
to
I guess
notice.
I can look.
A 4.
My. Actually, no. The one eye hindrance
Oh!
isn't the one that affects.
But I don't
notice
have
Minus
rolls
2.
that depend
Damn.
on eyesight. It's the like
Ha.
short sight.
Short, yeah.
Goose egg.
Goose egg. It's not a crit. 2,
10.
10,
Damn.
Sheesh.
A 4.
4.
4.
Okay.
Wait, no, that 4 explodes. I rolled 4 on both. I was
Ah.
just like, oh, it's a 4. 5.
Now we're talking.
You thought you had me.
Not so fast. Seems like a quiet night. Setting up, doesn't seem like anyone's watching you guys or anything like that. Even with the 10, like, there's some nature about and stuff, but,
Am I the only
everything's
Am I the only person here with any rations, or does anybody else have any trail rations?
No, I have 2 trail rations.
Okay.
I got
I'm gonna take that as a no from the rest of y'all.
I had a.
You look over
I
them and
had
you
a
hear their
can of
stomachs
beans.
gurgle.
Well, I guess
Damn
I
it,
will
you gave it to
share
that kid.
around my last 3
Don't blame
rations.
me. Erickson said I couldn't bring any rations in.
I said you couldn't bring a lot of rations in.
Yeah, you didn't say you could.
I didn't say
It was
anything.
just-
In my defense,
you
Carl said you couldn't bring rations.
I have a mess kit, whatever that means.
That means you can cook food if you have food to cook.
Yeah. Pots and pans, but nothing.
I do have a skillet. I do have rations.
So you guys kinda fry up a little dinner
I'll share
with your
I'll
food
share
rations?
around what food I got.
All right.
Very
I'll share
smart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I will
I'll
share
give you.
2.
I'll give you
Okay.
a swig of my liquor. And be like,
I'll take it.
There you go.
In modern America, I wouldn't be old enough to drink, but
Who gives a
Lucky.
shit?
in the old west,
I'm gonna. I'm
Giving
just
the
gonna.
local kids some whiskey.
I'm gonna tinker with my gadget, the entangle gadget
That's good to
gizmo.
call.
Make sure
I was
it's
gonna say,
pretty.
keep it PG over here. It's,
What's the so you guys are gonna kind of stay up a little bit, have a little dinner going, cooking, eating. You with a 4 and 4s and 10s previously on your perception checks. 5 and 10, and a 4.
Don't
4,
say
5, and 10. You
I-
two enjoying the field rations.
I'm still making kissing noises at him, trying to get him along.
Get them all flustered.
Yeah.
You guys hear what sounds like hoof falls. It seems like a horse is kind of approaching towards your camp.
from the direction we left Spanky, or from the other direction.
From a third. It's not from Spanky's direction. It's not from the direction you're heading. It's like a path that would intersect that line, coming from kind of the direction of Jasper towards the direction of Raskatoon. I would describe it as. And it doesn't seem like those of you who have experience with this kind of. It's not somebody trying to move quietly, but it's not somebody moving fast.
It's just somebody.
It's like
riding
a
horse.
it's like a slow ride horse, like a trot. But it seems like it's heading straight towards camp.
I'll just
Wait, who
draw
all heard
one
it?
of my guns,
Is it
but kind of
You
keep
did.
it like.
You did, Professor.
I'll draw one of my
Oh.
pistols, but kind of keep it like under a leg a little bit, so
Okay.
so they don't ride up and just standing there with 2 guns pointed at.
I'm calling you. Who are you?
Kind of,
Howdy, friends!
reach my
I'm here to
hand
give you
behind-
important story information.
There he is. Get him.
I reach my hand behind, like under my suit jacket, but like I just kind of leave it behind me,
Okay.
waiting for what's to show up.
Professor, why are you scratching your ass?
So you know, when you get older, it's real itchy.
You still don't quite hear what he's talking about until it's too late. Flying over the hill. No, I'm just kidding.
A horse with both guns blazing.
A horse riding a man. Both the horse and there's 4 guns in each, one in each hoof.
But the man is shod like a horse, thus making the hoof noise.
Is he naked like a horse?
That is a horrifying.
How is he naked if he's wearing a saddle?
You tell
No,
me.
no,
Denny
he's not.
seems like so.
Gross.
Oh, man.
The horse is definitely wearing like chaps,
Officers
a
weren't too
flannel,
happy
and
either.
a cowboy hat. Though.
I want that image to be somewhere.
Oh, God.
So it begins.
I've given
right.
I've given the one with artistic talent terrible
There's
ideas.
several reasons not to make jokes at the table. Either Erickson will steal them or the artist will draw.
You hear the fact that a horse is approaching. At the time, a rider kind of clears the tree line and becomes visible to you guys. And riding up, it's a single rider. I actually don't know his relationship status. One individual on horseback riding kind of calmly towards you, looking at the fire, like definitely looking at you guys and seeming to be intentionally approaching your camp. Now, it doesn't look like someone's like just happening to ride by, like, oh, wait, like they're like riding towards you at this point. The person on the back, as they kind of get into the range of the light, you can see it seems to be a human male. This a guy seems to be white. He's pretty impeccably well dressed for somebody who would be out in these parts in general, let alone somebody who's like out in the wilderness of these parts. He's clean shaven, got kind of a wide brim black hat on, and he has this kind of a smirk on his face as he slowly starts riding up to guys. He's in like very nice clothes.
Gun on his hip?
Go ahead and give me a perception.
It's always sad when you go to roll something that the wild die is higher than your actual stat.
All right.
At least you don't have to add a -2.
But that 6 explodes
Six.
for a total of 8.
8. He, unless he's got it hidden well somewhere, he appears to be unarmed.
Now I trust him even less than I did before.
Howdy.
Howdy there, he says, and right up. Mind if I share your fire for the moment?
Please do.
And he kind of turns his horse to the side and just kind of hops off it. It seems to stay put. Seems to be a pretty well-trained horse. Kind of steps off the side. And you can kind of hear spurs land as he does. It seems like he's got a pretty nice sterling set of spurs on the back of his boots. Again, a fairly well-dressed individual. And this, go ahead and everyone roll me another notice check just to kind of get a rundown more specifically on this guy.
Oh, 4 explodes.
Another 4.
Okay,
4 over here as well.
2.
6 for you, 6 for me.
6 for you, 6 for you. Okay. Everything I've described so far is the way it is. The guy's in basically not kind of an
Everything
equivalent
I've
of a.
described so far is the way it is.
There's nothing.
That means it's not.
Everything is totally fine. There's no snakes.
I blasted.
He doesn't have any gun on his hip. Doesn't have like the guy. He has like a jacket on over the top, but it's not a long jacket. You can see his belt. You can see no loops for bullets to sit in. No guns on his hip. No knife. He seems to be well dressed. Those of you who got a 4 or higher, his gear is in pretty good shape for someone who's been riding in the wilderness. Like, it looks like the suit and stuff he's wearing is still fairly clean, like a little dust on it, but it's in decent shape, except for his gloves. His gloves, he's wearing like a black pair of riding gloves, and they seem to be pretty filthy. It almost looks like the dude's been like very carefully digging with his hands. Like, the rest of his stuff has stayed clean, but his gloves have not. And he just walks up to the fire. What brings you folks out here to the wild?
Just doing a bit of tracking.
Hunting?
You.
What you hunting?
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
Just like staring. They're probably
Bandits, I
obviously
should say.
distrustful.
Okay.
I'm kind of side eyeing him.
Alright.
Because as you mentioned, everything besides his gloves is kind of immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm right there along with little Miss over here. It's just a little too suspicious.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask him flat out. I'm gonna be like, so where you been digging this evening?
And he kind of looks down at his gloves and says, I can never seem to keep them clean long. I haven't been doing any digging anytime recently. Just riding out here. And he kind of he glances over at Ed and like makes eye contact with a very distrustful gaze with like kind of a smirk, and he says to you, he says, "You best step lightly out here, little lady. Little thing like you going out in the dark could get lost pretty easy in it."
I
He
could say the
turns
same
back
thing
to the
you.
ranger.
I've been lost in the dark for a long time.
Where'd you ride in from?
He says he looks you in the eye at this question and says, with that slight smirk, totally straight faced, he says, Well, I come riding from where a river of tears meets a river of blood, my friend.
Well, that's not ominous at all there, friend.
I'm gonna push
thought
the
this when we
sheriff
first
out of
came
the way.
out of the darkness, but I think this
I'm gonna
might
start
be the four real
rolling
devils.
like some
Is this the
tobacco.
four-wheel
I'm gonna hand it to our new partner.
Matt, did you do what now?
I'm gonna roll some tobacco and hand it to our new partner right here. Be like, how do you
He'll take it from you and he's gonna like raise it up and he's gonna say, "Thank you kindly there."
Yeah.
And he'll kind of reach into his jacket and pull out a box of matches and strike one, light it.
I'm gonna turn to him and just ask. So, you're just riding out here in the wilderness without any form of protection, without a gun?
But there's lots of ways to protect yourself, friend. Gun's just one of them. And he's gonna kind of look you deeply in the eyes, Jerry. And he's gonna say, "You seem like the kind of man's got a big brain, an open heart, and tightly shut eyes." And he's gonna take another big draw off of the cigarette, and he says, "By the time your wandering's done, my friend, I think you might just squint." And he's gonna smirk at you, and then go back to drawing on the cigarette and look back at the ranger.
And then I'll look at him and go, "You want to repeat what you just said?"
What?
Remind me if we ever went back in Raskatoon, back in Jasper, doesn't matter. I'm buying a Bible because this is a for real devil, and I want something like that.
See, this is where it's like, okay, Jerry, roll a deck save for Hellfire.
No. He's our friend.
I say, well, how about your soul, mister? The devil's mighty prominent out here in these parts.
He's gonna again, adjust from the ranger over to you now and give you that little smirk. He's gonna say, "In these trying times, I think he's just about everywhere." And take another big draw. And he kind of takes a final draw off the cigarette, and it kind of goes to the very end of it, kind of shakes it loose, drops it, and rubs it into the dirt.
I'm gonna.
He's gonna
cheers
say,
to that.
he's gonna look at you and be like, "I'm surprised you don't recognize me, my friend. You and I, we used to ride together."
Ooh, I gotta think about that.
And looking at him, like thinking about.
I got a real bad feeling,
You-
Jeffries. You might be wearing his gun.
You don't think that his face looks familiar as like someone who was in your gang or anything like that. But he says, I used to ride with you, and he like kind of takes a look and he says, "Maybe we'll ride together again someday, you and me."
Well, passed out road with many people. Maybe not ones that shoulda. This is the for real devil.
This is the for real devil.
I like this man.
You know, out on the trail, always good to have company, even if it's the wrong kind.
The two religious characters are occasionally changing glances. This is the for real devil.
This is the for real devil.
I'm gonna offer him some of my whiskey and be, would you like some, sir?
Why, thank you kindly. And he's going to take the glass from you, raise it, kind of take it back and hand the glass back, and be like, "As you can tell, I'm a long-winded and quick-to-speak individual. I have a good time sharing advice, especially with those I can see whom need it. But for you, my friend," and he's saying this to Grimes, said, "I've got no advice for you. You seem to be sinking your life just fine enough as it is."
That's what I've been telling everybody.
I just
Could probably use a better horse though.
Hey, Spanky's perfect. Okay, no one talk shit about Spanky. He's my best friend. But
And he's just gonna kind of glance across everybody. He his eyes always end on you and stay locked on the ranger, but then they kind of glance across, and he's gonna be like, "Well, I appreciate you letting me warm up by your fire." And he's gonna stand up and be like, "You folks be careful out here in the dark."
Something gives me the thought that he's warm most of the time.
Entirely possible.
It's a bit dark there, mister. You about to just ride out into the nothingness?
from the nothingness I came.
I've got a lot of trail to cover yet, my friend. I need to stay on the move. Now, you folks have a good time out here wandering, and he's going to finally look at the ranger and he's going to say, "I'll see you when your wandering's done."
Uh-oh.
And he's gonna turn and start walking towards his horse. And unless someone's doing something, he's gonna pop up onto it.
Fire.
He's
I want
God,
to shoot at him so bad. I just don't think it would do any good. What good can a gun do
I'm gonna
against
be
a
like, well, you
four-wheel
have a
devil?
nice night and drive safe.
He hops up onto the horse, turns, tips his hat to you, and then smirks at you. And the horse starts, again, just a very leisurely riding pace, moving back into the night. And watching it, like, he kind of walks away from the camp, and then the horse just kind of turns about, and he definitely just rides back the direction he just came from. He does not continue on the path he was on. It seems like he was riding out here to meet you, and then go back another
Right
direction.
there was the 666 real deal scratch.
Yeah.
Well, that was one interesting failure.
That's one way of putting it, Professor.
That was old Joe himself.
I like that guy.
He seemed to know you quite fondly, Mr. Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Yeah, was he a buddy of yours?
And it's at this point that you kind of realize, like, the entire time he's been here, you've had this, like, sharp pain in your chest. And you kind of, and like, you've been so, like, on edge, you didn't think about it, and as walking away, it's kind of like the relief hitting you more than anything. And you kind of, like, rub along there and kind of just feel along a very old dent/scar on the center of your chest.
I might say that man could hear the good news. He should hear the good news. I should have told him.
I think he knows all about.
I think the devil's heard the good news before.
I don't think he was interested in hearing whatever you're trying to sell to people, Jeffers.
Now, Professor.
One of my favorite things is that Professor Focus is called Jeffries something different but wrong every time. For like the past 4 times he said his name. It's Jefferson.
Well, I've always been calling him Mr. Bogus.
Mr. Bogus instead of Professor Bogus.
We're just old men who can't remember
It's
names.
Mr. Bogus, Jefferson, little lady.
Young one, or what would you call you? Young man or something?
Youngin.
Youngin.
I call him Youngin. And then I call Grimes Short Fingers.
Short fingers.
Short fingers.
Just how? What are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? The literal devil just rode into their camp.
We just call that an ominous omen and try to do our best the rest of the night.
I say that's good luck right there. Good luck. It's like a black cat.
The devil's own.
It's like walking under a ladder, breaking a mirror, and a black cat walking across in front of you at the same time. It's good luck.
Good luck.
You pile up so much bad luck all at the same time, you're gonna break the algorithm.
Yeah. Inverse.
I mean, he seemed pretty nice, and he knew Mr. Jeffers. So.
He did know Mr. Jeffers, which I didn't necessarily like. He did also seem to know you, which I don't necessarily like.
Jeffries, you would describe him as someone you've never seen before but is painfully familiar to you.
I would say
Well,
in my line of work,
people.
you run into all sorts of characters.
Alright, everybody, we best put it out here. Now, I used to ride with some folk that I probably shouldn't have been riding with in my past, but I'm a new man, saved, baptized, 10 years.
10 years ago, one day ago, I believe was the anniversary.
10 years,
if I remember
10 years, one
correctly.
day. Just had to get it out there.
What a waste.
Now, what do you know about time, young man?
Now, Short Fingers, don't you go disrespecting your elders now.
We got the old man
Who
posse.
said I respected them?
Well, Mr. Bogus, young fella right here hasn't had enough time to think through that kind of stuff like we have.
I got all the
What?
time.
Oh, that was a bit of both the character and me. I didn't really understand what
It's
you
perfect
said.
that you're the one who has bad hearing as a character because you're digital Jerry and will miss stuff sometimes. It's perfect. It's just high quality roleplay.
You keeping track of time, by the way?
We're close.
Okay, just making sure.
I appreciate it.
Because we didn't talk about it before, so I didn't know if I was in your position and we hadn't talked about it before, right about now I'd be like, well, shit.
Maybe there's one more thing I'm going to talk about, and then that's probably where we call.
Just
Does anyone else want to?
I
The night is yours.
am taking first watch.
Okay.
I will rouse somebody for second watch, whether we agree upon watch or not.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I, as professor, I do not sleep through the night. I take my time and just do some tinkering in the light of the fire.
Okay.
I will be reading my Bible. But you should write that down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be asleep with one hand with my flask, thinking of Spanky.
Thinking of Spanky. Hoping he's well.
Yeah.
I'll sleep like the dead.
You'll sleep like the dead. And with that, y'all, at different points in the night, each of you who has watch, I mean, maybe you rouse someone every now and then because you swear, so you see a shape moving in the shadows. Nothing ever comes for you. Nothing ever bothers. Like, you guys have a uninterrupted night's sleep when in terms of the outside world approaching you, but each of you has a different and terrible nightmare that night.
Oh yeah, I was even before you introduced it, I was going to say I probably sleep well. Professor Bogus, your nightmare basically entails you. Brother has awoken. Basically, is it about to print all the things it has failed to print in the past?
Yours is you tinkering. You're kind of tinkering at your table on your devices, and then one of them goes off, and everything fades to black, and then you open your eyes, and it's literally you in front of like a marble podium with a winged man in front of you, looking at like what looks like a clipboard and being like, and shaking his head at you, and then you like plunging into an inferno.
The horror of a life after death.
There's more? I have to keep going? I finally beat the game!
I finally kicked the bucket, and that's what I have to look. And that's an actual thing I gotta look forward to. Jesus Christ!
Exactly.
Exactly. Edmunda, you have a dream inside of a familiar religious building, and you kind of have this constant like banging on the door outside of it. The doors are closed and locked, and you're inside, and you're just terrified. You don't fully know what's going on around you, but you feel like you know what it is. And the doors suddenly explode open, and lumbering towards you is a shape very familiar. And it kind of clawing, and you keep scooting back until you're like up against the pulpit itself, back up against it with this thing's claws coming at you. And you finally bring up a gun that you didn't have in your hands until just this moment, and you aim it down at this thing, and a very familiar face is sitting in the center of this without the normal, without the accoutrement of whatever this has become, looking back at you with just a scared look on your face, and you jolt awake with the sound of a bang.
Just about the same thing every night.
This one hits a little different, but
sometimes the building's also on fire. But
you felt the heat in it, though the building was not on fire. Jeffries, your dream is much like the nightmare you had the night before, except without any of the reminiscence, only the overwhelming sense of weight and guilt on your shoulders. Yours is just you remember a specific time that you and a group of your previous associates were robbing a particularly an establishment what holds and distributes money, and one individual who had ended up getting shot by your hand during this whole encounter. And you see it's almost like a play-by-play of this exact same thing, except each time you run into another person, they've got the first person is that individual, that young and now deceased individual, and the face of every other individual, including your accomplices, they'll turn to you, pull down masks, and it's the same face, and the face is constantly looking at you. Yours, we'll get to later. Yours feels like an out-of-body experience.
Shocking.
This dream isn't like, for some people their dreams are memories. For yours, it is a memory, but it seems like a memory not your own. And you feel like you're wearing your ranger gear and you're hot on the trail of what you know to be a dangerous outlaw. And when you finally come up to kind of track down and get to the camp of this individual, it's bare and it's empty. You see, it seems like they've been here recently, but they're not here at the moment. You kind of turn around, looking around, trying to find them. Reach for your gun. You hear a noise. You turn around and then hear a bang, and everything fades to black. And then everything fades back to white, and your eyes open wide. And all of a sudden, you feel like this is you again, not living someone else's life. And you look down at a bleeding gunshot wound in the center of your chest.
Fitting.
you picture yourself back with your crew, back with your gang, back with the people you used to ride with as well, similar to Jeffers. But as you're riding, you kind of ride in the group, and everyone's just kind of doing what they normally did, kind of just talking their shit, riding along. Just feel like it's kind of that feeling like you guys just got done doing something that you shouldn't have, but made you some money. It's just joking and laughing, and then kind of one turns, looks at you with a smirk on his face, and then like a set of what looks like large, almost bony skeletal hands kind of just reaches out from the ground, pulls him off his horse, and tugs him into the ground below you. And he just gets tugged down, screaming, and disappears. And everyone else, you're like freaking out. The other people in your posse seem to not even respond. They just keep talking to each other, and then another one gets grabbed, until you're the last person riding. And all of a sudden there's another, like, you kind of look back and you look up in front, and there's another rider in front of you. And the individual you just met the night before turns around and looks back at you with that same smirk on his face, and you see bony fingers wrap around your vision, and everything fades to black. And you all awaken the next morning with having completed a night's sleep, but feeling like you didn't get a whole lot of rest. And that's where we're going to end this episode of Devils of the West. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Sweet dreams.